Welcome to Exponential News, your daily dose of what's happening at the edge of the exponential age. We break down the latest in AI, crypto, space, and frontier tech so you don't miss the signal in the noise. So, what's on our radar today? We're tracking a medical device company making a really massive bet on Solana. The US government is putting GDP on-chain. Yeah, you heard that right. China is starting to mass-produce quantum computers, and we've got a huge step towards self-fertilizing crops. Okay, let's just dive right in.
All right, first up, let's talk about the world of digital assets. We are seeing some moves right now from both corporations and governments that are, frankly, unprecedented.
So get this, Sharps Tech, a totally traditional medical device company, just announced it's adding a crypto treasury strategy. And they're not just, dipping their toes in the water here. They are going all in on Solana.
And when I say all in, I really mean it. They raised a $400 million private placement from some heavy hitters like Pantera and Parify just to acquire SOL tokens. The market's reaction? It was immediate and it was explosive. The company's stock price just shot up 116% on the news.
And this is so much bigger than just one company's balance sheet. It signals a potential new playbook for corporate treasuries everywhere. I mean, we've seen companies add Bitcoin, sure, but for a public company to dedicate this much capital to an altcoin like Solana, that's a huge step for broader institutional adoption.
And that institutional interest isn't just in the volatile assets either. The stablecoin market is absolutely on fire right now, with venture capital just pouring in over $150 million in fresh funding.
Now, it's really interesting to see where this money's going. We're seeing major rounds for companies like M0, which is building what they call a layer zero to let stablecoins move seamlessly between different chains. And then there's Portal, which is focused on bringing DeFi to Bitcoin. This whole boom is being supercharged by new regulatory clarity coming out of the US, which is finally giving the big players the confidence to jump in.
So what's the big picture here? It seems like stablecoins are finally graduating. They're moving on from being just speculative trading tools and are now becoming the fundamental plumbing for a whole new financial system. They could be the thing that powers faster, cheaper global payments for everyone, from JP Morgan all the way to Airbnb.
But, maybe the biggest news in this whole space is coming directly from the US government itself. The Commerce Department has just become the first G7 nation to publish its official gross domestic product data directly onto public blockchains.
This is a truly landmark moment. Key economic data, in this case 3.3% annualized GDP growth for Q2, is now available on chains like Ethereum and Solana. And the market immediately understood how significant this was. Oracle projects like Pyth, those are the services that feed real-world data onto the blockchain, surged over 70%. So why does this matter so much? It's simple, really. It comes down to two things: trust and automation. By putting this data on-chain, it becomes tamper-proof, it's globally accessible, and it's instantly usable by decentralized finance applications. This could completely transform how markets trade and react to economic news. Okay, let's shift gears. Our next section is all about the future of hardware, where some incredible breakthroughs in fundamental physics are setting the stage for the next technological revolution.
First up, we've got a milestone that was 15 years in the making. General Atomics has just completed the central solenoid, which is basically the heart of the ITER fusion reactor project. And just to give you a sense of its power, this single magnet is strong enough to lift a fully loaded aircraft carrier clean off the ground.
The numbers here are they're staggering. This thing is a 60-foot superconducting magnet, and it generates a magnetic field 280,000 times stronger than Earth's. It's the final critical piece they need for that massive international fusion experiment happening in France.
But what really matters is what this unlocks. Achieving fusion means creating a source of virtually unlimited clean energy. This isn't science fiction anymore, It's an engineering reality that could one day power the massive AI data centers of the future and completely reshape geopolitics in the 2030s. And speaking of geopolitical races, China just made a massive move in the quantum computing space. They've officially started construction on their very first factory that's dedicated to mass-producing photonic quantum computers.
Now, the key advantage here is huge. These machines, they work at room temperature. Most quantum computers need these massive, incredibly expensive cryogenic cooling systems. But by using photonics, a company called Q-Boson can build systems that are potentially much easier to scale, and that dramatically heats up the tech rivalry with the US.
And this is such a big deal because that leap from research to mass production, it's a critical one. If China can scale this technology quickly, it could give them a major advantage in all the fields that quantum computing is about to revolutionize, from material science to artificial intelligence. Okay, for our final section today, we're looking at how we're hacking biology itself. We've got some incredible breakthroughs happening in medicine and agriculture.
Let's start with a really sobering statistic. For patients who have advanced kidney cancer, the 5-year survival rate is just 12%. It's an incredibly difficult disease to treat. But a new approach from researchers at UCLA is showing some immense promise.
They've developed what they're calling an off-the-shelf engineered immune cell therapy, and it launches this powerful three-pronged attack. First, it directly kills the cancer cells. Second, it breaks down the tumor's own defenses. And third, it overcomes the immune rejection that plagues so many other therapies.
The key phrase here, the one you really need to remember, is off the shelf. See, many of the current cell therapies have to be custom-made for every single patient, and that's incredibly slow and expensive. A pre-made universal solution could dramatically cut down on those deadly treatment delays and make this life-saving technology accessible to so many more people. And finally, we've got a story that could reshape how we feed the entire planet. Scientists at UC Davis have used CRISPR gene editing to create a variety of wheat that actually encourages soil bacteria to produce its own nitrogen fertilizer. Just a 10% reduction in fertilizer use could save U.S. farmers $1 billion every single year.
This is truly a potential game changer for global agriculture. From on-chain economies to fusion energy and now self-fertilizing crops, we're just seeing these foundational technologies begin to scale at an absolutely incredible pace. The question really isn't if these will change our world anymore, but how quickly we can adapt when they do. That's it for today's Exponential News. To dive deeper and see how we're building in public, visit exponentialtom.com and join our community